Welcome to Greek for a Week. I'm glad that you are viewing another video this week, and we are looking at chapter 2, verses 1 through 3. And this is a portion of the paragraph that I mentioned probably a few weeks by now, where the paragraph is likely chapter 2, verses 1 through 10. So I'm just looking at verses 1 through 3 this week, and then we'll progress in the following weeks with verses 4 through 10. So we are looking at a diagram of this particular paragraph, and apologize for this verse or this word here. It's a little bit out of order here. But you'll see in verses 1, 2, and 3, we have a particle A here that may indicate a conditional clause, but I have another function for that. Then we have our longing for, craving. There is our imperative. Then, of course, we have our participle up here in verse 1 that I'll make note of here in the next slide. And then we have our un, which is our conjunction that is making the connection between the previous paragraph, chapter 1, verses 22 through 25, and then this one, chapter 2, verses 1 through 3. So if we move forward here, you're going to see there's our conjunction, therefore. Peter is saying, stop oneself from. So here's our participle. Again, we made note that this participle could take on the imperative force of the imperative in verse 2. It could also be an attendant circumstance where maybe Peter is also suggesting to stop yourself from this wickedness and evil as you are longing for or craving this reasonable attitude. So I think a number of options here. I've taken it as an imperatival participle. And again, he's asking them to stop from all wickedness or evil, all deceit, hypocrisy, and envy, and then all evil speech. So all of these here are basically what it is that they are to stop themselves from. Then as Peter moves on, he says, as newborn babies. So basically he's saying, have on the characteristics of a newborn baby, what is it that they desire? What is it that they long for? What do they crave? And of course, that is their milk. So he's asking them, okay, take on this characteristic moving forward here. And then there's our long for or crave. And again, it's logikon. I personally believe that the reasonable attitude here is not the word. I don't think he's asking for them to crave the word of God. I think he's asking them to crave this reasonable attitude, this way of, you could say, Christian maturity here. And he says that is pure milk. Okay, so he's describing this attitude as pure milk, which is why he mentions you are to do it as a newborn baby. What's the purpose for longing for? So that you may grow. And then how is it that I'm going to grow? By the means of it, or I will grow by the means of this pure milk, which is further described as the reasonable attitude. Then there's a goal. So it's not just a purpose, but I would indicate here that there's a goal, ace, for the goal of salvation. That is salvation in the end. Now the A that I mentioned, this particle, I see this not as a conditional clause, but rather a causal clause. So why is it that I long for? Because you have tasted. And then what's the content of the taste? And that is that the Lord is good, or the Lord is kind. So how might we look at this from a preaching standpoint? Well, I think you've got basically two imperatives. I know one's a participle. I think it's functioning imperatively. So stop yourself from all kinds of evil, and then long for or crave the mature attitude. For what purpose? Again, for the purpose of growing, for the ultimate goal of salvation, and then for the reason that is you have tasted that the Lord is good. Again, this was verses 1 through 3 of chapter 2. Trust it's been helpful as we are continuing to work through the book of 1 Peter. Next week, we will start with the following paragraph of verses 4 through 10. Have a great week.